Hey everyone, and welcome back. This is part 2 of integrating Power Apps with Teams. In this video, we're going to show you how to change your Power Automate flow to be able to grab the response from the actionable card in Teams from the user and write that response back to Power Apps and update a field. Let's get started. In the last video, we left off on the post-adaptive card and what the outputs were giving in the body with this data object here and the response that we had with accept being 1. In this video, I'm going to walk through the additional steps and additional actions that we're going to be adding to our Power Automate flow to be able to write the response that we get from our Teams notification back to our model-driven app under this feedback response field. So the first thing we want to do is initialize a variable for our answers. We'll put this right below the get row by ID. So we'll click on that little plus button, we'll click on action, and we're going to look for variable in the search. And we'll select Initialize Variable. We'll name this Answers. We'll add to the title as well. And the type will be Array. Next, we'll want to parse the JSON from this adaptive card. So we'll want to grab the outputs from this adaptive card, this action for posting an adaptive card. So we'll add a new step right below it and we'll search JSON. And under content, we're actually going to want to grab the output from that Teams. Sometimes it doesn't come up, so we need to actually write out the expression for it. So under expression, we want to type outputs and then single quotes and type out the post adaptive card with an underscore between in the spaces. Just like that, and click OK. And then I'm just going to generate from a sample. I'll include this sample and all of the other formulas that I'm going to be adding in the description of this video. So after we've added the schema, we're going to click on New Step, and we're going to compose an array. And like I said, I'm going to be pasting all of the formulas in the description of this video for you to grab easily on your own. But basically, this is going to replace the string inside of the body of that data object and replace it with single quotes. Then we'll want to set the answers variable. We'll select answers from this dropdown, and we'll add a split formula to split the array. Final step is to add an apply to each. This will apply to each answer. So it will loop through the answers variable. We'll add a compose to split the items. and a compose for the request and the response. And then last, we want to update that response feedback field. So we'll add a update a row action here. We'll tie it back to the feedback table. We'll grab the outputs from the request. And then in the feedback response, we'll grab the outputs from the response. And I forgot to rename that, but is this compose 3. So a bit of housekeeping to make sure that even though I copied and pasted all of these formulas, that you know where we need to connect all of the formulas to. So for the feedback response output, we want to make sure that we're connecting it back to this response compose here. For me, it's compose 3. It might look different for you. For the row by ID, we're tying it back to the compose request, which is this one right here. Inside of the compose 3, we are tying it back to just compose, which for me is this one right above, which is the split of the items. And the formula for compose request is also tying it back to the compose, the one right here. So both of these are tying it back to that compose. Going up to set variable, we are connecting this one to compose underscore array, which is right above it right here. I changed this. I realized that I had left it as compose. We need to change this to compose array, or whatever that compose is on your screen. That's what that set variable is, that formula is tying it back to. And this one shouldn't need, this one is just tying it back to the parse underscore JSON, which is the one right above it. So if you named these composes anything different than what I named it, please make sure that you're making the correct connections in your formulas. Then we'll go ahead and save. And we'll go ahead and do another manual test. All right, we'll go ahead and start a manual test. Go back to our app. Assign it to myself and click save. Once I click save, that should trigger our flow here. It will stop at the adaptive card since it's waiting for our response. Going back to Teams, we'll notice that we got that Teams ping via Power Automate. We'll go ahead and send a response back. Switch back to Power Automate to watch it run through. Looks like it was successful. If we go back to our feedback app, click refresh, we should see that response come into that field. And as you can see here, we did receive that response back to that form, and it successfully updated that field. Thanks for watching.